I couldn't see a life living outside of passion, and my parents get that and support me in that and support me in all the things I have to give up or compromise on in order to be an artist. After you've succeeded as a musician, like, it's not that surprising to go into film. It's not that surprising to become a photographer or become a ceramicist, versus if you're a ceramicist breaking into the music industry, people are like, what do you know about music, you know?
Hi there, I'm Lior from Missy Magazine, and today I'm going on a walk through Hamburg's greeneries with a very special person. She's a singer and songwriter, but she's also a multimedia artist. I'm so excited to finally see her perform at Reeperbahn Festival tonight, but before that, I want to find out where her source of inspiration comes from. Please welcome Annahstasia. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Nice to see you. You look
to see you.
very, very, very great.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I try.
Yeah, so I heard both of your parents are designers, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are they sort of like the source of your creativity?
They're definitely a big source of my creativity. I mean, I learned how to be an artist from watching them and from their guidance. So they definitely set the bar really high.
Okay. And have they inspired you to do music as well, or was that another person in your surroundings?
Definitely another person. I didn't come from a musical household. My mom she sang, but not like, both of my parents sang in the choir kind of people,
beautiful,
you know?
Yes.
And she played piano, but she never taught me. And so where I got my musical bug was when I went on tour with my uncle when I was like 14.
That's early.
I didn't play anything.
Okay. You were just out there
I
watching.
was just like a tour rat, you know. I just kind of stowed away on the bus.
Yes.
And just watched. And I don't know, when I found out you could live a life of travel and exploration and creativity and excitement from just music, I was like, oh.
So nice, so interesting.
Maybe I want to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how do you think the creative input of your family shaped you as an artist?
I think there was a level of excellence that we had to aspire to always.
Yeah.
My parents very much made me earn the title of artist. When I said I wanted to be an artist, they said, well, we'll see. And
so they weren't excited?
They weren't excited, no. They were like, don't do that. It's the hardest decision you'll ever have made in your life. Being an artist is not easy. And I mean, I've been doing it now for enough time to know that it's not easy, especially not in America.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I couldn't see a life living outside of passion, and my parents get that and support me in that and support me in all the things I have to give up or compromise on in order to be an artist.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, you're not a singer and songwriter, you're also a multimedia artist, right? Like, is your other work also linked to your musical work?
Yes, in ways. They inspire each other, because music is obviously non-corporeal, non-physical. Whereas the physical mediums, there's sometimes, as an artist or for me as a person, I need to be able to put my hands into something, to make something from the ground up with my body, with my hands. And that's how I got into the medium of sculpture and the medium of photography. And it helps me translate the world through many different filters, if you will. And then they eventually come out as music or as song. And sometimes they feed back with each other. And it's all about asking certain questions, and the mediums being the exploration of those questions, and they lead to more questions and better questions and hopefully more fulfilling answers.
Yeah. And why did you choose singing and songwriting to be something that you want to share with the world, and not ceramics or the photography that you've been doing for years?
Well, mostly because those other mediums don't rely on youth as much. The music industry is very ageist, very sexist, and had an awareness of that very early on. Okay. And I also realized that traveling as much as I do, like staying up these crazy hours, like all the things that are part of being a musician, just better suited to youth. And I knew that I needed to use my youth to pursue this medium of mine if I wanted to get far in it. But also, music is the only one of those mediums that can hold all of it. Like after you've succeeded as a musician, like, it's not that surprising to go into film. It's not that surprising to become a photographer or become a ceramicist, versus if you're a ceramicist breaking into the music industry, people are like,
Yeah.
who are you? You just got here. Like, what do you know about music? You know. So it can hold. You can build a world as a musician.
Yeah.
That you can't as much build, or people don't understand or expect when you're building it from a different perspective. Even though it should be either way, but it's not really in reality.
Yeah. And the new album that is coming up, right? I heard that it's sort of linked to your other art forms. Like, can you tell us more about this? Like, do you want to share with us?
Yeah. So I'm working on an album now called Tether. And I started this photo project also called Tether.
They're
having
fun. Yeah. The sun is out in Hamburg. Celebrate.
Yeah. But I started this photo series to go along with my album process, because the entire concept of the album is the things that tether me to this world, and the things that keep me grounded. So like community, family, friends, people who patronize my work.
Yeah.
And so I kind of did an open call for anybody that wanted to come and sit for a portrait.
Wow.
And in the process, I was reminded that, like, yeah, people do care that I exist. People do like appreciate my work. They find to have that like interface one-on-one with those people was more grounding than I even realized. And it was just a reminder that through my art, through all my mediums, I'm constantly exploring just love itself, even if it's love with, complete strangers, that there's an abundance of it. And that's when I kind of had the idea to link that with the album that I was already working on, which didn't quite have a name yet.
Yeah.
So then I decided to name the album Tether, because it was
Beautiful.
just an extension of the same exploration of love and community. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Are you also going to exhibit the photos, or not at all?
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and figure out a way to present the photos not in a flat medium. So I also practice in paper making and some level of like textile. So I'm going to try and merge paper making with textile, with cyanotype, with large format photography, and create a network, as you will, with these photos.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a reason to finally come to LA to look at your art.
Yeah.
That would be an actually
When I
good
have
thing
the
to
show.
do. Yes. Okay, I want to quote you right here. I read something of you in an article where you said, "I'm always drifting between wanting to give up and keep pushing forward. On the give up side, it can get really dark, so I have to practice staying in the present, in the here." Do you want to share something about that time? Because it sounds really, I don't know, rough and dark. And I'm pretty sure we've all been through times like this, especially during COVID.
Yes, I think COVID for a lot of people presented the truth of their reality. We were, I think, as a collective, running away from how bad things actually were, with our economy, with social issues, with a number of things. And COVID was this big pause, and you just got to see everything as it was. And for me, that in that pause, I just felt very overwhelmed by the prospect of even trying to make it as an artist. I realized how long the road was in front of me, and with the insurity of like ever being able to travel again, or what this pandemic would mean for immigration, or what it would mean for live shows. I was really faced with the fact that I might not make it, and I had never even really thought about it before. And so my shift at that time was from making music for other people to making music for myself, which was a very important shift. And also around this theme of when things get dark and you have to find your own light again. When you switch from making music to become successful, or making art to become successful, or to be applauded or known for it, to making it for yourself and for your own fulfillment and to make you happy.
Yeah.
It helps balance that light and dark. It helps, because really all you're doing is chasing joy at that point. You're just pursuing things that bring you joy. And for me, some days, joy is standing in a park, you know, and looking at all the trees or feeling the wind on my face and the sun on my skin. And sometimes joy is making something out of clay, and sometimes joy is strumming my guitar really hard and just screaming and not making anything beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and all of that is art, and all of that keeps the darkness at bay. But the darkness is just, Joni Mitchell has a really beautiful line. It's like as natural as the clouds in the sky. Like melancholy is just as natural as changing weather. We all have our ups and downs, and you can't judge yourself too much for feeling gray and looking into the void sometimes, because it's all part of being human.
Definitely. I mean, we both live in big cities, and I know they can be quite overwhelming. So sometimes, what I enjoy doing is going to the forest sometimes, and I don't know, my partner's into mushroom picking and that kind of stuff. Like,
Foraging.
Is there anything that you love doing as well, like around LA?
Foraging. I love to forage. We don't have mushrooms; it's too dry.
Okay. I see.
But there's lots of health, like herbs and tincture, things you can make tinctures out of, and those kinds of things. Sometimes berries. Love foraging that kind of stuff. Hiking, finding waterfalls. It's been a recent hobby. Just like I just get in nature pretty much at least once a week.
Nice.
So that's a good thing about LA is your short drive from somewhere really beautiful.
Sounds so beautiful. And like, other than nature, is there like another support system that you have that helps you through dark times, for example?
Friends and family. I'm grateful to have friends that feel like family all around the world. So it helps when I travel as much as I do to like land in a familiar spot. I would rather sleep on the couch at a friend's place than be in a 5-star hotel, because
all by yourself,
because you know, life gets really lonely.
It can
if you're constantly traveling the way that I am.
I get it.
At home I'm with my family, and that's been a huge level of support for me to just also stay grounded and remember who I am, and not think that I'm any bigger than I am, or like lose my humility, or think that I'm living in a simulation that I'm not. It just reminds me, okay, where are you coming from? Why are you doing this? And having your family around, having friends that can check you.
Yes.
Like, so important.
And they probably also know what it's like to be an artist, right? I mean, even though they are not musicians or anything, but they still know what it's like to, I don't know, struggle, I guess, as well. And they can always, I don't know, make you feel grounded and, I don't know, make you a cup of tea or something like that. Some like tiny gestures,
tiny
you know?
gestures, yeah. You know, a home-cooked meal when you're just really freaking out can just change a whole day.
Totally.
Yeah.
So how long are you on tour now?
I mean, I guess tour is more of a constant state at this phase of career.
Yes.
I had a few months off, but now I'm back on for the next 3 months. And hopping around till the end of November, basically. And then I take a break to record the album, and then back to traveling and playing shows again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is it your first time performing in Germany?
No. I've played in Berlin a couple of times, and I played in Frankfurt back in 2019.
Nice.
But it's my first time in Hamburg.
Okay. So. Yeah, I was born here, so the people can be quite nice, you know.
Okay, good.
I think they will be a supportive crowd for you.
That's what I like to hear.
Nice. And did you bring any like people along that make you feel, I don't know, maybe safe while you're playing, or?
Yeah, I brought Diana. Diana
over there.
Diana's over there. My tour manager. I met her. She brought me to Berlin for the first time, actually, and has always made a space for my music, and just a huge level of support. Feels like having family around. So yeah, I tour a lot alone too in the States, so it's night and day difference to have somebody there that you know can make you a cup of tea.
Yes, exactly. I don't know, sometimes I like actually going to events by myself because I feel like I'm more open to meet more people. Do you feel like that's the same for you? Like, did you ever have like, I don't know, did you meet like an acquaintance that you never would have met because usually you go with your friends or something
I go
like that?
everywhere alone pretty much.
Yeah?
I'm like kind of notorious for pulling up alone and leaving alone. I just roll through a lone wolf. But I like it that way because you can really sit back and observe everyone's dynamic, and then the people that you meet are usually the kindest people in the room.
Yes.
Because when you show up to a place alone, there's no context for who you are. So people have to just accept you as a human as you're showing up in the moment, which means that you're usually meeting people who are less judgmental, who care less about clout and status, who just genuinely think you look interesting or seem interesting and want to have a conversation. So I make some of my best friends that way.
Are performances also a good chance to talk to your fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, do people come up to you and like,
yes,
I've been following you for like a year or two or longer?
Yeah, it's so sweet. It's very surreal even to be at a point in my career where I can say that I have fans, because I think I'm still in the place where I'm not sure if they're fans or if they're friends, because like I'm not really like so big yet.
I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan.
But yeah, sometimes I'll strike up a conversation with someone, and then we'll grab coffee the next day, and they turn into a really good friend. And I think the type of person that listens to my music is very kind, wholesome human being. So talking to my fans is like one of my favorite parts of the process. And I also especially love when I get little love letters.
Whoa. Like
from
at the
fans.
show?
Yeah, like some people will fold them like into little origami shapes.
What?
And, like bring them to me, and because of what my work is about, I got a letter recently that was like, I know this really beautiful tree in Paris, like here's my number, call me and I'll show you. And it's like, I love notes like that because that makes the world like your neighborhood.
So
and
romantic also.
It's so romantic, it's beautiful.
Oh, I didn't think of anything like that. Sorry. But I brought my camera, so I'm gonna take an analog shot of you later.
Cool.
Nice. What was like, I don't know, the most meaningful message, gesture, interaction you ever had with a fan or friend? I mean,
a favorite story is when I had a show earlier this year in New York. My first headline show in New York at Joe's Pub, and this girl came up to me after the show. First of all, there were so many people trying to get my autograph that I was just like, wait, what reality do I live in? It was very weird. But this girl came up to me. She's like, I just found out about your music today. I'm so glad I came. And I was like, oh, that's wild. Like, you found out about the music and you came like same day?
Exactly.
She's like, yeah, I actually just listened to your EP on repeat all the way from, we were up by like 52nd Street or something like that. All the way from, she basically walked from halfway up Manhattan from where she lived. She's like, I was going to take the train, but then I started listening to the music and I didn't want to get on the train because the train's too loud. And your music is so soft. So I just walked from here, from my home all the way here. And by the time I got here, it was time for your show.
Love this story.
And she's like, I cried the entire way. And this like album just really helped me realize like the space that I'm in requires softness, and like that I can move on from where I found myself. And I just love hearing the stories of how my music helps people either get to the next phase of their life or to remember that they too can create something beautiful on their own.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure your music and your words are a massive input for people after so many years of doing music. You know, it's not like you started last year or something. And even if you did, you know, I'm very sure it means a lot to people. And I'm so excited that Hamburg is going to meet you tonight, and that maybe you're going to meet some of your fans. You met me. Yeah. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you so much for being here and for opening up and telling your story, your processes about becoming an artist and everything. It was very lovely.
You're welcome. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.